Yeah, welcome guys. Welcome back to another video. I am really getting bothered by this Black History Month nonsense. I don't believe we need a month. We don't need anything. We don't need anything from this foreign government acknowledging melanated people by using the shortest month of the year in a very, very, manipulative way. They acknowledge us, but it's a means of manipulation, and it's a means of psychological warfare, and it's also a means of mind control. They give you the idea or the guise or the veneer of, we appreciate you, black people. We're going to acknowledge you, black people. But every time they acknowledge us, it's an insult to our intelligence. First black this, first black that, first black this. I don't need you to recognize me based upon his story. History has been rewritten, folks. The history that you guys are getting is not the true history. The slave narrative is not told accurately. I'm not saying slavery did not happen, but the way it's been told has been told inaccurately. It's not accurate. I don't hear anybody talking about white lives matter or talking about first white this or first white that. Can't you guys see the inverted concept used to play or plague the minds of people? Can't you guys see that? Can't you guys see that when they are giving you a month of recognition, they are patronizing you? They're patronizing you. What do I mean by patronizing you? They're making you feel special, but you're not special. You never will be special. You are considered black. You are considered non-existent. If you study the origins of color and using color to infuse within a culture, a dynamic, or a philosophy, you understand that the term black and white has nothing to do with skin color. It has something to do with class. It's a social construct that, even if you do your history, not the history that you've been told, but if you do your real research, you would understand that the civil rights movement back then had nothing to do with giving quote unquote black people freedoms. It was more so about the pursuit of citizenship. And the term white and black were not terms used to identify a person's skin color. Those were terms used to identify a person's class, a person's social class. So you could be a quote-unquote black person or a melanated person, and you could be identified as being white, because being white back then meant that you were a first-class citizen. And being black means that you were not a first-class citizen. But years have passed on. Now anyone who looks like me is considered black. So the term Black History Month means we're going to use the shortest month of the year to acknowledge second-class citizens. And every time you guys go around parading this nonsense about the first black athlete, the first black this, the first black business, I just sit there and I cringe, because they are insulting us. But we don't see it because we are ignorant to their devices. It's called mind control. I know we believe that these Europeans have our best interests at heart, and that's been the problem since day one. We love for them to come in and save the day. We can't think for ourselves. They've put themselves in the position of being the status quo or being the standard, and they are not the standard. From a biogenetic perspective, they would not even be on this planet if it wasn't for the mitochondrial Eve gene that came out of a melanated woman, i.e. a black woman. We all know for a fact that black people graced the earth first. And even those that were albino had black features, because albino simply means that you have a melanin, you're melanin deficient. Your melanin is not working properly. But that doesn't mean that innately you still are not melanated in terms of your your genetics, your DNA, your biochemistry within you. You can go to Africa today, you'll see albino Africans, albino Nigerians, albino people from Ethiopia. They have the features of a normal melanated person: wide nose, fuller lips, and all of that. They just don't have melanin on their skin. All right? They're called melanated albinos because internally they are melanated, but externally there's a defect that stops them from getting that melanin, having that melanin to show. So stop allowing yourselves to be called black. When I fill out applications, I put other. I'm not black because my skin's not black. And white people's skins are not white either. Again, if you study the essence of using color as a means of building culture and establishing a cultural dynamic, you would understand that black and white are the two colors. I don't even want to call them colors, but they are the two conditions in where color does not exist. If you walk into a completely black room, you can't see. There's no color. If you walk into a completely white room, you can't see. It's not about skin color, folks. It's about class. This is a way that the controllers have used the terms of legalese. Legalese is a legal term of speaking that has legal ramifications to it, but underneath the legal ramifications are subtle deceptive practices that the word conveys. So yes, you can say you're black, but you know what that really means. You're saying you don't exist. Okay? When you talk about, oh, I'm a black person and I know I have my constitutional rights, the Constitution was not written for you, black man, because you're black, you don't exist. The Constitution is not written for people who don't exist. Black means non-existent. So Black History Month is a joke. It's a month to recognize the people who don't exist, and at best to recognize second-class citizens. Stop treating us like we are handicapped. You know, when I go to a public place, whether it's a grocery store or wherever I go, the gym, usually you have spots that have a demarcation of handicap. And if a person has a handicap sticker or a handicap tag hanging from their rearview mirror, they can park in that area that's considered handicapped. There's a special demarcation made for handicapped people. Well, look at it the same way when they talk about Black History Month. They're treating us as if we are handicapped, as if we are a inferior component of society. Oh, let's just give them a little month to just acknowledge them. Let's give them a month of demarcation to just say this, black this. White people don't have a White History Month. You know why they don't have a White History Month? Because they have no history. Their history is stealing and killing and taking other people's history and rewriting it for their own, to make themselves feel like, or make themselves believe that they are the standard. That's where you get the term white entitlement from. That's where you get the term, white supremacy from. It's a psychosis. It's taking something that's not yours, rewriting it and reshaping it, and making it seem like it's yours, but using that information and power to suppress to suppress the real owners of that reality. So it's like me coming to your house, robbing you at gunpoint, taking your house, kicking you out, but then I act like I'm the one that owns the house while you're outside trying to get back in the house that you own. And that's been the plight of melanated people all over the world. From a psychological standpoint, I don't get it, but it seems like these people, there's something genetically in them that makes them very, very persuasive and influential and gives them the ability to infiltrate civilizations and take over in a malicious way. There are ways you could take over a civilization and improve that civilization. We've seen that happen in history. We know that in Egypt, those of the Atlantean, he came to Egypt to rebuild it. Those pyramids were built by an extraterrestrial intelligence. That's not something that's built by men. Mankind at that point was not that ingenuitive to build something of that stature. They needed the help of some type of foreign or alien intelligence that had the capacity with super technological advancements to make those things occur. So miss me with this Black History Month stuff. It's stupid. Miss me with this Black Lives Matter. Of course, all lives matter. And this idea that white cops are mowing down kids every day. Can't y'all see how media controls y'all's minds? I mean, remember CNN, those mainstream devilish channels that are all ran by the cabal? You guys don't remember that it seems like every week there was a white cop killing a black kid? Do you guys believe every story that you see on the news? Do you know that there's such things as crisis actors? Do you guys know that those things do actually exist? Do you know that there's something called news that's fake? And I'm not saying it because Trump says it. There's certain things called fake news when you can create an event. All right, these are what you call precedents. They're called precedents. You use the news to drive the message, all right, to the masses, to have the minds already incubating in that message, and then it creates a narrative, and out of that narrative you can start passing out legislation to fit a certain narrative. So when history books are written, they're going to talk about how police brutality was going on in the 2020s, or in the 2010s, or the 2015s, or in the 2016s. They're going to talk about that. But we know, and when my grandkids are here, I'm going to be still alive. I'm speaking that into existence. I'm still going to be here to tell them, no, it wasn't so. It wasn't as bad as they make it seem. Just like the slave narrative is not as bad as they make it seem. This idea that a bunch of black people were getting beaten, hung in slavery, that's not the true story. That's the story they want us to believe, to make us think that we are all descendants of slaves. We're not descendants of slaves. Not all of us. There were already melanated people here in America before the European came here. As a matter of fact, the Europeans are the slaves. They're from the Slavic region. They're the Slavics. They're the true slaves. They are the European. They're the token of humanity. They're the ones that should have a month dedicated to them. The true Black history is about them. You say, how? It doesn't make sense. They're considered white. Why black? Well, do your history. Do your research. When you're working in coal mines, you come out with a black face. That's where the black face came from. Black history is about their history, not us, but everything has been reversed. I encourage all of you guys to reach out. Go to Dane Calloway's channel. Subscribe to his channel. This guy's a magnificent historian. You guys to look up the things he talks about. You don't have to believe him. You don't have to believe him. And if you don't want to believe him, then have enough balls to do your own damn research. And I don't mean going to Google. Google just gives you bias. It's just confirmation bias. Just whatever you believe in, you type it in Google, you're going to get information that's going to, provide you more confirmation to believe your own bias. So there's no such thing as objective research looking through Google. There's not. And that's why you currently see today, they're getting rid of librarians from schools. They're soon going to start getting rid of books, because that's something, they're going to start putting everything in a format that's all digital. And when everything becomes digital, you can have the ability to go in and edit texts. No longer can somebody go to the original source of a document to see what it really said. That's what they're doing. That's equivalent to burning books in libraries and rewriting the history, and that's what they're doing. people are starting to wake up to understand that the slave narrative, the slave story of Africans coming from Africa to America to be slaves is not totally true. The idea of slave ships is not totally true. The mainstream message is not necessarily true. There's a little bit of truth in there, but that's how you get the lie to, to pass through the minds of people who deem themselves critical thinkers. You sprinkle a little bit of truth in there, and you put some lies above it. You dress it up in lies, but you infuse it with a little bit of truth. Therefore, you have a convoluted message mixed in with the dichotomy of truth and lies, and therefore you have the masses confused at worst, and at best, for them, for their agenda, they have masses that just follow like sheeple and just say, okay, that's what they say. Africans, we came here. All black people come from Africa. We were all slaves. Nothing could be further from the truth. Melanated people here got their land stolen from them by political means. And our enemies have a very, very shrewd way of operating. They can smile in your face and stab you in the back. Very manipulative. They are intentional in their practice of conquering you. Immediately they see you as a threat. And their modus of operandi is to kill, steal, and destroy by divide and conquer tactics. They're doing it today. America is the modern day empire. They go to other countries and they subdue civilizations who seem as they could be a threat in the future to them. They have over 180,000 military bases all across the world. America, modern day Rome, comprised of mostly Europeans. The chemicals that are being sprayed in the sky from chemtrails, they're not coming from melanated people. That's not an African concept. That's not a Nigerian concept. That's not a melanated concept. That's not an Afrocentric concept. That's not a cosmological concept. We all know that melanated people are the most cosmologically connected people on the planet. That's not something we do. We don't naturally want to harm our planet. That's a European concept. Destroy nature in order to make a profit off of it. Our people in ancient times, we upheld nature. We didn't worship nature. We venerated nature because we understood that nature and humanity were connected as one. Immediately you start molesting nature, you are molesting your own kind. You are molesting your own ilk. You're destroying your own self. So Black History Month is a joke. That's not something you should be proud of. And you should not be proud of being called black. You should not be.